You know, I gotta tell you that soap in the mouth would be gross and kind of humiliating, and there is a lot better way to deal with swearing. Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Brett Pearce, child psychologist, and today I would like to talk with you about dealing with kids and swearing. It's a subject that I get asked a lot about and work on a lot in my practice as a child psychologist. However, before we get into that, I would just like to thank you if you're a returning viewer. Either way, whether this is your first video or if you have come back to me, I'd like to invite you to consider subscribing. It really does help out the channel. So let's talk more about swearing. And I have basically two big things to say on the subject. The first one is going to be a little provocative because I'm going to talk about how I don't understand, frankly, why we're so concerned about kids swearing. I just don't really get it. I don't think that there's really a good reason for us to worry too much about whether or not kids swear. And then number two, I'm going to talk about the fact that certainly using any kind of punishment, whether it's mild or severe, is effectively never the way to go with swearing. And we'll talk more about that soon. So first, let's talk about this rule that we seem to have in our society that kids are not supposed to swear. And what I wonder about is why, frankly, like who decided that and when did it get decided and why? I guess if I had to, offer you a theory, it probably has something to do with just this kind of Victorian era notion that kids are perfect and pure little angels and that we can't sort of allow them to do things that we think of as being sort of vulgar. I'm not here to tell anyone who watches these videos what your values should be. More, I just invite people to wonder about why we seem to feel the need to set all these unnecessary limits with kids that restrict their ability to express themselves. Swearing, in my opinion, is a perfectly legitimate part of communication. I mean, it has its context and can have a certain impact on folks. However, with kids, I just don't understand why we feel the need to forbid an entire category of communication. So I guess if I had any advice for you, it would just be, maybe we can just loosen up a little bit about that. Maybe we can just kind of have more of a stance of like, well, just understand that if you're at a friend's house, that parent might get really upset with you for saying those words, or you might get in trouble at school. Although if it were my kid, I would be grouching at the school saying, like, you can tell them you don't like that language, that's fine. But I don't want my kid being punished for word choice. But hey, that's just me. And I'm known for being kind of rebellious about this stuff, I guess. So that's my first big point, and it's mostly just a, food for thought kind of thing. Why are we so worried about it? I mean, I just don't understand why kids, why it's okay for us to swear but not for kids. I just don't get it. I don't get it. So fine, though, if it's really important to you that your child doesn't swear, I'm not here to tell you it shouldn't be. So let's talk about what to do about it. And I'm here to tell you that first and foremost, the answer is not to punish. Please do not use soap in the mouth or spanking or anything like that. Those punishments tend to be pretty harsh. I'm not trying to say that, you're this horrible, awful parent if that's what you've already done. However, I just invite you to think about how would you feel if someone did that to you when you're upset and were expressing yourself in the best way that you felt you needed to express yourself. And swearing legitimately doesn't hurt people. It's not like hitting or breaking things or threatening. It legitimately doesn't hurt anyone. So instead, what I want you to think about is, what is the purpose of swearing? What is the function of it? So usually when kids swear, particularly because it is so forbidden for them to swear. When kids are swearing around adults, it's usually to provoke a response. It's usually just this kind of like, well, I know this is forbidden, and so I'm upset and I'm trying to hassle you. I'm trying to get a rise out of you and show you how ticked off I am. So when we respond by saying, you can't talk that way, or I'm going to put soap in your mouth, or I'm going to take your toys away, or something like that, or, you're not going to get your allowance this week, what we are doing is we are likely reinforcing the behavior. Because if kiddo's trying to hassle, then what kiddo's looking for is a response from us. So if we really want to get the kid to stop swearing, well, we're not necessarily going to be able to stop it, but we can certainly avoid reinforcing it by just not really responding too much. Or maybe we can have just kind of a half serious, half playful sort of response. Like kiddo maybe says the S word, which I'd be happy to swear, but I guess YouTube freaks out about it sometimes. But kiddo says the S word. And so what we can do is maybe if the kiddo keeps saying it, we can start offering some sort of like, oh my gosh, someone's got a potty mouth today. What's going on? Did you eat something gross? We can have just kind of a mild, playful response, which can show kiddo that we're not too provoked by it, or we can just kind of gently ignore it. Or we could do something like, oh my gosh, I'm hearing a lot of potty talk, and I would love to talk with Bobby right now once I'm ready to hear some nice friendly words. Oh, hey, Bobby, there you are. You're using friendly words. Point is, what we certainly don't want to do is get provoked and then start focusing on punishments and things like that. Because all that does is show the kiddo that we can be provoked, which is often quite reinforcing to the kid. Because because of the taboo against swearing, kids are not often just swearing to themselves to express themselves. Instead, the swearing is often about provoking a response. So these are the two big things I have to say on the subject of swearing for the purposes of this video. Number one, I don't really understand why we're too worried about it, and I think we need to worry about it a lot less than we do. And then certainly number two, if we are going to intervene, we need to do so by often not doing a lot, by having a real mild, neutral response, or maybe by having kind of a half sarcastic, sort of playful response, but certainly not by being provoked and not by punishment, that is. Often we just end up reinforcing it, because when kids swear, particularly at adults or around adults, it's often about, let's provoke a response. So thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this video, please do consider giving me a thumbs up. A subscription is always more than welcome, so you can smash that button down below. And there's also a bell thing that you can hit to be notified when my next video goes live. Otherwise, this is Dr. Brett Pearce, child psychologist, signing off, and we'll see you next time.